You ever stop and think that your own DNA might be holding the forgotten stories of entire civilizations? Yeah. Buried deep in our genetic code are clues to incredible migrations, peoples who vanished, and the very secrets of our ancestors' survival.
So let's just dive right into that. What if we could actually listen to those stories? What if the remains of people who lived thousands and thousands of years ago could tell us about lost worlds and maybe even reveal the hidden genetic tools that helped our ancestors conquer new continents?
Well, the key to all of this is something called ancient DNA, and it's truly revolutionary. It's basically a genetic time machine, and it's letting us solve some of the deepest mysteries of the human past. So today, using this incredible technology, we're going to explore two brand new discoveries that are completely rewriting what we thought we knew about the first peoples of the Americas. We've got a lost lineage and some ghost DNA to track down.
All right, so for our first mystery, we're heading to South America, to a high plateau in what is now Colombia. This is where an entire group of people seems to have just vanished without a trace.
Take a look at this. This is the Altiplano, a beautiful, rugged landscape near modern-day Bogotá. Thousands of years ago, this very region was home to a group of hunter-gatherers, the very first people to call this place home.
Scientists now call them the Chibchan people. And when researchers managed to sequence the first ever ancient human genomes from Colombia, they found something, well, astonishing. The Chibchan DNA didn't match any other known indigenous group. They were a completely unique genetic lineage, one of the earliest branches of the human family tree to spread across South America.
So for 4,000 years, this unique group lived and thrived in the Colombian high plains. But then about 2,000 years ago, they just vanish. Their distinct DNA signature completely disappears from the archaeological and genetic record. It's just gone.
So, where did they go? Did they move away, die out, or did something else happen entirely? The answer, uncovered by the DNA, is way more dramatic than anyone expected. You see, this wasn't some slow, gradual change. Nope, it was a total, complete replacement.
I mean, the conclusion from the research is shockingly direct. Listen to how researcher Kim-Louise Kretek puts it. There was a complete exchange of the population. Just like that. The Chibchan people didn't just leave, they were replaced, wholesale.
And you can see just how different these two groups were. On one side, you've got the original Chibchan people, a unique lineage of hunter-gatherers. On the other, a new group of migrants arrives from Central America, and they bring a totally different way of life. And it's their genes that are found in later populations.
And what's really cool is that this DNA evidence suddenly solved an old archaeological puzzle. The sudden appearance of widespread ceramic pottery, which marks something called the Herrera period, wasn't a local invention. It was brought in by these newcomers. And they didn't just bring pottery, they likely brought their language too. The Chibchan languages, which are still spoken today back in Central America, where they came from.
Okay, so we've just talked about a people who completely vanished. Now, let's pivot to a different kind of genetic secret. We're not talking about a lost lineage anymore, but a hidden inheritance. A ghost in our genes, really, that helped the first Americans survive.
I mean, really think about this for a second. When the first humans crossed the Bering Land Bridge into the Americas, they were walking into a world filled with all sorts of new pathogens and environmental challenges they'd never seen before. How on earth did their immune systems cope? Well, the answer, it turns out, comes from some very old relatives.
So first, you've got the Neanderthals, right? The famous archaic human group living across Eurasia. We know our modern human ancestors met them and interbred with them, picking up some of their DNA along the way.
But then there's this other group, the Denisovans, who are way more mysterious. We barely know anything about them, mostly just from tiny bits of DNA found in a cave in Siberia. But here's the key. We know they also interbred with ancient humans, contributing to our modern gene pool. And this is where our second mystery really kicks into high gear.
Because it turns out the very first people to enter the Americas were carrying a kind of genetic gift, a secret survival tool that they got from the Denisovans. But, and this is the kicker, they got it in a really, really unexpected way.
Okay, so what was this gift? It was a special version of a gene called mu19. Now, this gene basically affects how thick your mucus is, which, is your body's first line of defense against germs. And the particular version carried by many indigenous Americans came straight from the Denisovans. It was like they were handed a prepackaged immunity boost for a brand new world.
But here's where it gets absolutely wild. Humans didn't get this gene directly from Denisovans. Nope. Researchers figured out it was part of this DNA sandwich. First, Denisovans passed the gene to Neanderthals. Millennia later, Neanderthals passed that genetic parcel on to modern humans. And then those humans carried it all the way into the Americas. It's an incredible journey.
You have to understand, this is the first time scientists have ever found a Denisovan gene that got to humans through Neanderthals. You can just feel the wow moment in what population geneticist Fernando Villena said. It's wild. Is this the only instance of this happening, or are there more? I mean, it just blows the doors open on how we think about our genetic inheritance.
So who's walking around with this ancient genetic superpower today? Well, the frequency is highest in populations with more indigenous American DNA. So you see about a third of Mexicans carry this Denisovan gene variant. In Peru, it's about 20%, and in Colombia, it's much lower, only about 1%. It's a living, breathing echo of that ancient gift.
All right, let's step back and pull these two amazing stories together. We've got a lost people in Colombia on one side and a ghost gene from our most ancient relatives on the other. So, what does it all mean?
Well, they point to one big, powerful idea, really, that comes in two parts. First, human history is anything but a straight line. It's messy, it's dynamic, people moved, populations vanished, and they were completely replaced. And second, our own DNA is this incredible mosaic, a patchwork quilt of genetic history. We are literally carrying survival tools inside of us inherited from our ancient, extinct relatives.
And all of this leaves us with one last, really fascinating question to chew on. I mean, these two stories were only just uncovered. It just makes you wonder, what other secrets from our deep, deep past, what other lost tribes and ghost genes are still just waiting to be discovered right here inside of us?